What is love, and what has it got to do with sacrifice? Let's think about it. Hey, my name's Justin Harrell. I challenge you to challenge yourself to think about less taught biblical topics. When you watch this, it'll be long gone, but as I film this, it's just before Valentine's Day. And we know what that means.
It's a poor excuse for picking a man's pocket.
Well, maybe, but in our culture, it's a day set aside to show love and appreciation to those special people in our lives. But sometimes love can get messy. It doesn't always look like a Hallmark movie. Sometimes it looks like this.
And all you care about is you.
Who went to the stupid, boring opera with you? Which, by the way, we were late for because it takes you an hour to paint your face.
Love and sacrifice, they go hand in hand. Love isn't just a feeling. In fact, most times, the feeling's irrelevant. Showing love doesn't require you to feel anything, but it does require action. It requires you to do something. And that something many times looks like sacrifice. Being selfless, putting the needs and desires of someone else ahead of your own. Does that sound like a warm, fuzzy feeling?
No, not really, no.
Real love can feel like pain, sorrow, or even mourning. It's a lesson our friend Abraham learns firsthand. Genesis 22 is a famous passage of scripture. It tells the famous story of Abraham being asked to sacrifice his son Isaac. What's so amazing about this passage of scripture is that it so clearly lays out the picture of Jesus sacrificing himself for us. It shows us what true love is. So let's dig in and see Jesus. Genesis 22, 1 and 2. After these things, God tested Abraham and said to him, Abraham. And he said, Here I am. He said, Take your son, your only son Isaac, whom you love, and go to the land of Moriah, and offer him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains of which I shall tell you. This chapter contains the first mention of the word love in the Bible. It's here where God by his Spirit first defines what love really means. It's connected to letting go. It's connected to sacrifice. Abraham's being tested. Does he trust God completely? Did you ever go through a hardship in life and wonder why God is allowing this to happen? Why is he asking this of me? For what purpose? Or to what end? Abraham's having a rough few days here. We can quickly turn the pages, but for him, it's a few days. Don't minimize his pain and agony here. The New Testament lets us know what kind of faith Abraham had. Hebrews 11, 17 to 19. By faith Abraham, when he was tested, offered up Isaac, and he who had received the promises was in the act of offering up his only son, of whom it was said, Through Isaac shall your offspring be named. He considered that God was able even to raise him from the dead, from which, figuratively speaking, he did receive him back. Wow, do you see Jesus yet? Abraham was promised that a nation, a great number of people would come through Isaac. That's a problem if Isaac is dead. So either God lied, changed his mind, or God will raise him from the dead. Now Abraham had another son, Ishmael, but here the text only views Isaac as the receiver of the covenant. Even though there are other sons of God, the angels, Jesus is the unique son as far as his covenant to us. Now Abraham goes to the land of Moriah, and this is the area that will one day be known as Jerusalem. Also, we're told that figuratively speaking, Abraham did receive Isaac back. Notice how long their journey was. Genesis 22:4. On the third day, Abraham lifted up his eyes and saw the place from afar. So for 3 days in the heart of Abraham, Isaac was as good as dead. And on the third day, he got his son back. Pretty cool so far, right? But wait, there's more. Genesis 22:5. Then Abraham said to his young men, Stay here with the donkey. I and the boy will go over there and worship and come again to you. Abraham's faith is unwavering. He tells his servants that both of them will return. And notice their transportation? A donkey. Zechariah 9 says, Rejoice greatly, O daughter of Zion. Shout aloud, O daughter of Jerusalem. Behold, your king is coming to you. Righteous and having salvation is he, humble and mounted on a donkey, on a colt the foal of a donkey. This is exactly how Jesus enters Jerusalem during the week of his crucifixion. This is famously known today as Palm Sunday. Now the ESV calls Isaac a boy, and the King James Version calls him a lad. What does this mean? Well, he's not as young as you might think.
Laddie, don't you think you should rephrase that?
Lad might sound young to you, but as Scotty often shows us, lad can be used to refer to someone older than a child. This word for boy or lad is translated as a variety of ages. Exodus 2:6 says, "When she opened it, she saw the child, and behold, the baby was crying." Here, a lad is a baby. Genesis 37:2 says, Joseph, being 17 years old, was pasturing the flock with his brothers. He was a boy with the sons of Bilhah and Zilpah, his father's wives. And here, a lad is a teenager. And also, the word comes with a bit of a servant connotation. In 1 Samuel 30, verse 17, it says, David struck them down from twilight until the evening of the next day, and not a man of them escaped, except 400 young men who mounted camels and fled. Here the lads are translated as young men. So which is it? A small child? A teenager? A young adult? Well, the context helps you determine the answer. Genesis 22:6, and Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering and laid it on Isaac his son, and he took in his hand the fire and the knife. So they went both of them together. Well, here we see Isaac carrying the wood for the burnt offering up a mountain. I'd say you have to be a little older than a small child to accomplish that. I mean, a kid would whine.
I'm tired and my knee hurts. My elbow hurts and I have to go to the bathroom.
And do you see Jesus here? The Son is carrying the wood for the sacrifice. John 19:17, and he went out bearing his own cross to the place called the place of a skull, which in Aramaic is called Golgotha. Genesis 22:7 and 8, and Isaac said to his father Abraham, My father. And he said, Here I am, my son. He said, Behold, the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for the burnt offering? Abraham said, God will provide for himself the lamb for a burnt offering, my son. So they went both of them together. Okay, now this response Abraham gives is so prophetic. Does Abraham even know what he's saying? Does he fully understand? I'm not sure he does, but what he says is so accurate. God will provide for himself the lamb for a burnt offering. That's an English translation. The word provide there is ra'ah. It means to see or perceive. The first time it's used is in Genesis 1 when God creates light, and God saw the light that it was good. God will provide for himself the lamb for a burnt offering. So the Hebrew sentence here says, Elohim will see himself a lamb for a burnt offering. That's more than just provision. He will see himself as the lamb. Yep, I see Jesus here. Genesis 22:9. When they came to the place of which God had told him, Abraham built the altar there and laid the wood in order and bound Isaac his son and laid him on the altar on top of the wood. Isaac is bound to the altar and Jesus is nailed to his cross. Notice there is no opposition from Isaac. He is willingly ready to lay down his life. Philippians 2:8 says, And being found in human form, he humbled himself by becoming obedient to the point of death, even death on a cross. Wow, Jesus is clearly seen here in this text. At this point, the similarities seem to end, because for Isaac, well, he's saved. Abraham doesn't have to go through with the ordeal. This was simply a dress rehearsal. None other than the angel of the Lord himself calls to Abraham and prevents him from harming Isaac. Genesis 22:14. So Abraham called the name of that place, The Lord will provide. As it is said to this day, On the mount of the Lord it shall be provided. Again, the Hebrew word for provide is ra'ah. So the Lord will provide is Yahweh Ra'ah. But in American, we kind of butchered this into Jehovah Jireh. Now the real deal will come 2 millennia later when Jesus will go all the way, even to death. And the Father's heart will ache with pain, seeing what burden Jesus carries. And this is exactly what the gospel is all about. The Father did sacrifice his Son. The Son did die on the very same mountain. But on the third day, he rose again. There's more to this story though, and we'll come back next time to think about it.